Warning. The following video is not intended for an audience under the age of 13. Do not watch the video without a guardian or parent present. That is all.
Rumble is red, Frenzy's blue, and I can't help but feel like I'm a poser in this toy review. Before anyone asks, no, I did not attend Botcon in 2013, and no, I did not attend the customs class that was held that year in which this figure was built. I hate to say it, but back in 2013, I wasn't really big on Transformers. Sure, I knew it was a thing, and I had a friend that was really into it at the time. One of the biggest reasons I wouldn't have even considered attending Botcon back then was, well, unfortunately, I was in a weird sort of screw everything that's for kids mode. So instead of watching the shows that my brother and dad arrogantly dismissed as being nothing but nonsense for children, I instead watched Doctor Who. And oh boy! There are almost too many reasons why I don't watch that show anymore to list in a single video. And while I'm not trying to say that Kamen Rider is objectively better than Doctor Who, I do like it more than Doctor Who, so yeah, in my mind, it's better than Doctor Who. But it isn't exactly difficult to say that considering how shit the writing has been in Joni Whittaker's seasons. But as I alluded to earlier, I didn't actually go to Botcon. I just purchased this thing on eBay for relatively cheap from a seller named Prowlsec. So the first blast charge came in the late 90s to early 2000s, sold under the Beast Machines line. And, yeah. Oh, God! Yeah, we'll just say that Beast Machines wasn't exactly known for having the highest quality figures. I mean, the fact that Hasbro had the sheer audacity to make most of the figures out of translucent plastic isn't really a good sign now, is it? Yeah. The Viacons, however, were best described as the saving grace of the line. Which is exactly what I would say if, well, the original blast charge didn't exist. The original blast charge had 3 chest-mounted missiles, 2 of which didn't even fire and gave you the appearance of extremely pointy and unhealthy-looking nipples. And, well, when totally empty, the chest-mounted platform was just begging to be the joke of some boob-related gag. He also had poorly articulated legs, and the original had a third-wheel vehicular centaur mode that kinda makes it look like he just had his wisdom teeth removed and has to be carted down to get picked up by his mom, who will then proceed to drive him over to the supermarket to get food for him to eat while his gums heal, and then he will start to absentmindedly say the word peaches repeatedly over and over again before proceeding to turn on every single lightsaber-themed toothbrush in the dental hygiene aisle. Much like I did after I had my wisdom teeth removed. No, seriously. My mom was with me the whole time. I was acting like I was almost as stoned as a rock lord. Anyways, back in 2013, Fun Publications decided that for the 2013 version of Botcon, that they would release a box set based on the Machine Wars subline. For those of you unfamiliar with Machine Wars, it was basically a line that was created by mistake. Not as in, like, they accidentally made it, but they accidentally had to make it. Full UC here, not everyone was on board with beast modes. So at that year's Botcon, a fan asked a Hasbro representative if they would be making a line based off of machines. And the executive accidentally responded yes. However, the most ironic thing is that almost none of the toys released for that Botcon are actually painted after characters released in Machine Wars. But instead, there were more characters that were released that were based on Beast machines. Which, I mean, fair enough to fun publications. I feel like it would have been incredibly tricky to make Machine Wars characters based off of Thrilling 30 molds. Then again, they turned a cup into Wrecker Hook, so what do I know? No shit! And it is from that year's convention that today's subject comes. Machine Wars Customs Class, a Blast Charge. Custom Class Charge, if you will. Essentially, 120 Botcon attendees had the ability to take a class where they could sand the figure's parts and then assemble him, which kind of explains why he is this bland in terms of paint. And I'm not trying to make fun of the person who bought / painted / built this, but you didn't even try and paint him? Dude, that's, well, guess it's up to me. I mean, I'm not complaining. I have the tester's model paint at home I can use, and I believe that with that model paint, he'll receive a much needed aesthetic upgrade. But that's honestly a really small and, like I mentioned, fixable issue I have with the figure. One of the other problems I have on a personal level with the figure is that I kind of feel and look like a poser just owning and reviewing it. Because I didn't actually attend a Botcon and build this myself. I just bought it off of eBay because someone didn't want it. Speaking of more relevant problems, we have the head, which you will notice is not actually the normal Generations Warpath head, but the special Strika head that was available in the box set that year. And that's not a problem that was the fault of the seller or the person who assembled it. It was Fun Publications' fault for not getting the proper heads ordered. And miraculously, the missile launcher actually works.
What you say? Oh, that you only...
From what I've heard, a gimmick is usually gutted, and missile launchers are usually weakened to the point where they're unusable. But this one survived the process with no hassle. And while yes, this may not come across as a shock to many of you, to me it kinda does, cause it's coming from the world's largest Transformers gimmick abortion clinic. Disclaimer, Ryan is not attempting to make any form of political statement in this video. Ryan honestly feels like he has better things to do than to give politicians reasons to further villainize him. Even in spite of this fact, the GOPs and the Dems are almost certain to do so. Anyways, at first glance, the cannons on top of his shoulders look like they might be compatible with the 3mm clip system. They are not! Speaking of weapons, he is unfortunately incapable of holding anything which has a bit of bulk behind the handle. However, if we are to open up this flap that is necessary for his transformation, the gun will slide in with no trouble. And I'm not gonna lie, that looks really badass. And I think it would look even cooler if he had a Battle Master in both of his hands. You can also fold away the hands, and bam, you've given him some Mega Man-style Mega Busters. Or if you have the Bot Clog Stopper, comedically oversized Larry Boy plunger hands.
I am that hero!
Now then, the tank mode is a massive improvement over the original. But then again, anything is an improvement over absolute garbage. Now then, as far as tanks go, this thing doesn't really roll all that well. And when you transform it back into robot mode, there's actually a pretty cool bit of automorph where you push in the tank cannon and the head springs up. And the missile fires off apparently. However, I feel I should warn you that after I got him, there was a little problem that I had where the tank cannon got stuck in the turret. However, I've transformed him enough times over that that isn't an issue anymore. And that problem is that it always flops down immediately after you raise it, unless you hold it in place for a second. But overall, this is a great figure, and honestly, I'd say go for it. Kinda. Okay, let's cover this, because it's probably going to be the greatest point of contention in this entire video. But considering that this figure is a convention exclusive, can I, in all good conscience, recommend it? Well, yes and no. Yes, I recommend finding the mold itself, but I can't recommend you buy this particular iteration. But then again, I can't really recommend that you buy any iteration of this mold. I mean, a boxed version of the original Warpath mold from Generations runs you about $60, which is way more than I got this figure for, ironically. And the other versions of the mold that are out of box are either in massive auctions or aren't really that much better priced than this version was. So, if you see a version of this mold that's like retailing for 15 or 30 bucks, I'd say go for it. Is that really fair for me to say? I don't think it is, honestly. I can't really say that I've been in this whole collecting business long enough to say whether or not something is being sold for a good price. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know a good price when I see it. Like, $15 for Siege Thundercracker, great price. $12 for a Brunt, awesome. $30 for a exclusive figure that wasn't made available to everyone? I don't know, man. I feel kind of morally dubious about reviewing this figure to begin with, but honestly, this mold in general is really good and you owe it to yourself to go and get it. You know, in all honesty, I'm a little sad that Botcon is over, but I'm also a little relieved. I've got a friend who attends another convention in Britain every year that I want to get to this year, and honestly, I don't think on any other year I'd be able to choose between going to either of them. So to Botcon, Fun Publications, and the Collectors Club, I say, hail and fair! What the heck? Oh god.